This is Christian Voices from the Middle East, a podcast ministry of the Order of St. George the Great Martyr. I'm your host, Maxwell Marcus. I'm grateful to introduce our guest, Reverend Dr. Mitri Raheb. Pastor Raheb is the former senior pastor of the Evangelical Lutheran Church of Bethlehem and the founder and president of al-Kalima University. Today's conversation is more than a story. It's a window into a very special life, a life shaped by faith, memory, and the weight of reality in a place where Christianity is not simply believed, but lived as inheritance. Welcome. It's a blessing to have you with us.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Can you tell us a little about where you come from in Palestine?
I was born in Bethlehem. I know it sounds biblical, but this is what it is. I grew up in Bethlehem, actually lived my entire life in Bethlehem, except for the 8 years when I studied theology in Germany.
Take me back to your earliest memory in faith. Was that in Bethlehem or did that come later?
No, that was in Bethlehem. I grew up in a Lutheran family, and reading the Bible was something that my dad and my mom were practicing. I got more involved in the church during my high school. We had actually a very active youth group that was with young people, not only from Bethlehem, but even from Jerusalem, Ramallah, etc. I also was ecumenically oriented. So I remember I used to chant the gospel in the Orthodox Church. Our home actually was exactly opposite of the Church of the Nativity. So only 12 foot away from the Church of the Nativity.
Wow.
In fact, our home belonged to the Orthodox Church and to the Nativity Church. And so I used to go also to the Orthodox Church as well. But then later I felt a call during high school, actually during the last year in high school, to study theology and to go to ministry. And so I went to Germany and did all my studies there, including my doctoral degree, and came back and was assigned actually my home church. And I got stuck there for 30 years, during which I founded al-Kalima University, which is the first and only university in all of Palestine with a focus on arts, culture, and design. Yeah, this is in short.
This is beautiful. So you found very early that your faith wasn't just inherited, but it was something that you felt the urge from within to pursue.
Correct. At that time, as young people, our big issue was how to reconcile faith with science. That was like the big question in the late 70s. And I felt at that time that we didn't have, or the pastors at that time didn't have answers to our questions as young people. And it is in this context, God was saying, okay, if you are not satisfied with the answer of the pastor, be one and try to find better answers, which I did.
I like that being a part of the links in the chain of the growth of the church. That's beautiful. Beyond this being a vocation that you felt the urge to pursue, and that there was wisdom and understanding that you felt that you could uncover within the field, was there a moment where you realized that your Christian faith, where you come from, came with more of a cost, and you realized that you would have to sacrifice more? And what did that moment of realization look like, if so?
I felt, being born in Bethlehem, coming from Bethlehem gave me an entry point with Christians worldwide. Because at that time, if I would have introduced myself being Palestinians, many people would not have understood what a Palestinian mean. But starting with, I'm a Christian from Bethlehem, and by the way, the Christians in Bethlehem are Palestinians, are Arabs. This was like a good entry point to start a discussion with people. But I felt this later to become, to be questioned mainly by Christian Zionists who were reading the Bible in a different way, who were blindly supporting the state of Israel, and who did not have any understanding for this legacy of 2,000 years of a living Christianity in the land where it's all started, Palestine.
That seems to be a pretty prevalent issue today. I think a lot of people would assume that Zionism, that you would have to be Jewish to be a Zionist. And I think your work shows that that's very much not the case, correct?
Correct. Unfortunately, there are many Christian Zionists, not only in the United States, but this is now a growing phenomena in Africa, in Asia, and Latin America.
To that point, even more so, can you kind of touch on how a Christian can be a Zionist, or what Zionism looks like outside of just the national sphere there?
Yeah, for me, it's very difficult to be a Christian and to be a Zionist. I think this is a contradiction in itself, because Zionism is a racist ideology that gives supremacy to one group of people over and against all others. And this is totally not applicable with the gospel of Jesus, where everyone is loved, everyone is equal, and where the gospel is against such racist ideology that actually keep starting wars in the Middle East. But unfortunately, some of these Christian Zionists are blinded by this ideology because they don't know better, and because they read the Scofield Bible and they think that is like the word of God. That is not the word of God. That is, 19th.
It was paid for and funded by non-Christian individuals. I think, that's public knowledge. To that point, I think that there's also probably a lot of, I notice in the West here, a lot of Western Jews even, who simply have a cultural obligation to Zionism rather than an understanding of what it is. And if they had a close-up view of it, I think they would feel very differently.
Yeah, most of the Jewish people are actually secular.
Yeah.
And there is, this saying that most Jews don't believe in God, but they believe God gave them the land. And this is the weaponization of religion for political ends,
yes.
Which is very problematic. And this doesn't fit in our understanding of the gospel and who Jesus Christ was and is, and what is his message, and what is our calling as Christians.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly. And you've spoken further about this. I did some research, and I came across your Christ at the Checkpoint conference in 2010, and brave words that you said about identifying the true nationality of a lot of these Zionists. You mentioned Netanyahu and his origins, and I think that this is, this is a pattern with those that were sitting in power before him. That land, the Palestinian land, as I'm sure you probably know, was bought by the Rothschild family from the British Empire. The Rothschild family being the ones that chose the Israeli flag and put it there because it's their family crest. But they, as the history shows, go back to more of a pagan empire, Khazarian lineage. Is there something that people should understand about the nuances between the modern geopolitical state, the racist Zionist state, and the actual Hebrew origins, and maybe the differentiation that went on once the Talmud started being written? Because prior to that, it was the Tanakh, and those that weren't following the Tanakh and didn't recognize the Messiah as Christ eventually adopted these pharisaical, pagan ideals of the Babylonian Talmud and the Kabbalah.
For me, Jews as a religious group were always part of Palestine, and I respect their faith, and I expect from them to accept and to respect my faith. The problem is when European Jews that have nothing to do historically with Palestine were sent to Palestine as settler colonial subcontractors, basically by the British government, as you mentioned, not because the British loved those European Jews, but actually they wanted to get rid of them because they saw them not belonging to Europe. They saw in them a threat, and so they sent them to Palestine as subcontractor for their imperial goals and ambitions. But as Christians, I respect, people of other faith, and I respect those Jews who belong to Palestine, but I cannot tolerate settler colonials that come to replace me. And maybe you saw, like, one of the current Israeli ministers in the current Netanyahu government, because every week you have Jewish settlers who spit at priests in Jerusalem, Orthodox priests, Catholic priests, Lutheran priests, whatever. And then this minister said, what's wrong with that? This is not a crime. This is an old Jewish tradition. So imagine, spitting at people of other faith is seen as part of Jewish. This is an insult not only on Christianity, but even on Judaism itself. So, but these are the kind of Jewish settlers that we are dealing with. And right now they are actually specifically targeting Christians, because I think they want actually to chase all Christians out, because then it is easier to sell this as a Muslim-Jewish conflict, not as a political conflict over land and resources.
I think we don't really see much coverage at all in the press about what's happening to the Christians in the Middle East. I think we often see, again, the framework of a Jewish-Muslim conflict, but this disregards, people that have lived there for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And
Exactly. Yeah, people often in this country, in the US, they think that Palestinian and Christian, they don't belong together. And they forget actually that Christianity was started in Palestine. The church was born in Jerusalem on Pentecost. So Christianity started in Palestine. the Bible did not originate in the Bible Belt, like these crazy evangelicals think. It actually originated in Palestine, and so linking the Israelites of the Bible with the Israeli today, that is a heresy. This has nothing to do with theology. The thing is, the problem is when you project a modern national state in the Bible. That is very dangerous because the Bible doesn't talk actually about this modern idea of a national state. And this is very dangerous because, you can use the Bible like Netanyahu did to justify even genocide. Netanyahu quoted 1 Samuel 15:3, where God is saying, now go and smite Amalek and kill old and young, men, women, children and suckling, sheep and cows. And in the name of God. So this is a very dangerous weaponizing of the Bible for political and racist ends that actually this is a twisting of the Bible that has nothing to do with the original good news. The Bible is about good news, not about bad news. It's not about genocide. It's about God reconciling the world.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. These themes of it's hard to put it any other way than what we're seeing in the Middle East right now with the Christians and the Palestinians is the human sacrifice. People don't want to use that terminology, but I think that this is something that is not new. And it dates back to when we read Isaiah and we read Jeremiah and we look in the Old Testament, and Elijah takes out the prophets of Baal who were sacrificing people to Baal and Moloch. Is there a correlation between these age-old practices and the modernization that we're seeing today?
Yes, for example, if we look at the book of Joshua, if you take the book of Joshua at face value, you would think this is the blueprint for settler colonization and genocide. But this is not the context of the book of Joshua, because the book of Joshua was written in retrospect, was written when Palestine was under occupation, and sometimes people under occupation actually they dream of restoring their land from the occupiers, and this is how we need to read the book of Joshua. But if you read it as a blueprint for settler colonialism, like Israeli politicians do, it becomes very dangerous. And by the way, all Israeli politicians from Ben-Gurion, Moshe Dayan, to Netanyahu, they thought of themselves being Joshua, modern Joshua, and the Palestinians, irrespective of they are Christians or Muslims, being the Amalekites that they were called by God to extend. Again, this is a dangerous ideology, has nothing to do with the Bible.
Is there something that you would like the Christians in the West to know that you feel like they do not know or are not aware of? If there's some information that needs to be gotten out that you need to make them aware of, now would be a great time.
Yeah, if we look at the Christians in the Middle East, many people they think these are the products of missionaries of the 19th century. But these Christians have been there for the last 2,000 years. And they have developed, a way to blend their faith with their culture and their language. So in our case, it was already in the 8th century that our forefathers and foremothers started doing theology in Arabic. And actually it was at and around the monastery of Marsaba, east of Bethlehem, that the first book in systematic theology was written in Arabic. Because many people in this country, when they hear the word Arab, they think this equals Muslim. But not all Arabs are Muslims, and not all Muslims are Arabs. In fact, the largest Muslim countries in the world are not Arab countries. Indonesia is the largest Muslim country. And Arab Christianity is older than Islam, which many people don't know. If you read the Bible at the story of Pentecost, when the disciples started speaking in tongues, one of the languages that were mentioned in the Bible is Arabic. So the gospel was proclaimed in Arabic already on Pentecost in Jerusalem. And so I think many people in this country don't know that. And the other thing is that, unfortunately, the Christian in the Middle East, they face difficult times for the last 100 years, especially because of the imperial interventions in the region. I mean, look, for example, when the US attacked Iraq 2003, over 1 million Christians became refugees and displaced. So Iraq lost the majority of its Christians. With Syria, what's happening in Syria now, the same thing. The percentage of Christians dropped from like 7% to 3%. In Palestine, the percentage of Christians today is less than 1%. And there is a real danger that the Holy Land will be emptied from its living stones, from the Christians. And it will become like a Christian theme park. I think this would be really a shame on us Christians, not only as Palestinian Christians, but Christians worldwide, if we allow, this Israeli state to extend the Christian presence from the land where it's all started.
What would you ask of the Western Christians that we could do within our own political liberties here in the West? And why should the Western Christians that have a disconnect and that are only looking at the threats in their front lawn, why should they care? How does it affect them directly as well?
Yeah. First of all, what they can do, I like to talk of 5 P's. The first P, you can imagine, is prayers. We need Christians here to pray for the Christians in the Holy Land and in our region. Because when you pray for someone, when you pray for a group, it means you care. And this is very important. Second, we need Christian groups, to come and visit Palestine and visit not only the holy shrines and the ancient churches and monasteries, but to meet with the living stones, with the Christians there, to worship with them, to have meal with them, to listen to their story. This is very important. So pilgrimages are important. The third P is political advocacy. We want Christians here to keep going to their representative and to challenge them. What are you doing to make sure that there is justice and peace in that region, which will help Christianity not only survive, but thrive? The fourth P is partnerships. We want to encourage that churches here and dioceses partner with churches and dioceses in Palestine and in the Middle East, so that there is, they know they are sisters and brothers, irrespective of the divide in language or in culture or the ocean that is in between. So partnerships are very important. And the last P is to encourage products and projects. To pick a project to support maybe students at Christian universities, or to show films that talk about the Christians in the region here in their churches. We have many films to read and to do a study, a book study about the Christians in the region. I have written several books, just 5 in the last 5 years, that talk about Christians in the Middle East. And so a church can take one of these books and read it over Lent or in summer or whatever, and study it to be educated about Christians in our region.
Thank you. Thank you. This is very educational, and I think it'll be very educational for our audience. What was the book that you just mentioned? What was the name of that book?
When it comes to Palestine, I have 2 books. One is called Faith in the Face of Empire, the Bible Through Palestinian Eyes. And another book called Decolonizing Palestine, the Land, the People, the Bible. This is when it comes to Palestine. If we talk about the Middle East, I have 3 books there. One is called The Politics of Persecution, Middle Eastern Christians in an Age of Empire. Another one is called In the Eye of the Storm, Middle Eastern Christians in the 21st Century. The last one is called The Surviving Jewel, the plight of Middle Eastern Christians. So these 5 books came in the last 5 years, and this is the best educational material for people to start with.
Wonderful. And we'll try to put some links to your books under the video when it's posted.
Great. Thank you.
Of course. Along with this podcast, the Order of St. George seeks to sustain homes like yours, communities like yours, and holy sites. Is there some advice or some asks that you would have for us, the Order of St. George, to get even more involved?
For me, like as a president of a university, especially these days, most of the Christians in Bethlehem have invested in tourism. And you can imagine for the last 5 years, they didn't have any income because, first we had 2 years of Corona. There was a travel ban. So we didn't have any people coming. And then since over 2 years, we have the genocide. Again, not many people are coming. And so all the hotels, souvenir shops in Bethlehem, which are owned by Christians, have been closed for so long. And these families have a problem to pay tuitions for their kids at Palestinian universities, etc. And so one way to help is to support a scholarship, for example, for one student. People will appreciate that very much. And the majority of the Christians in the Bethlehem region are Greek Orthodox. And so, supporting, for example, Greek Orthodox students in particular could be one way how Orthodox churches in the US can support the Christians
Great.
there.
That's perfect. Thank you. Very actionable. I want to switch tones a little bit before we finish up. and talk about the place that you're from. You're from Bethlehem, and I think Bethlehem is known as a place of miracles. And we've talked a lot about the darker aspects of what goes on out there. But I kind of want to ask you, because I think when I inquire people about their faith in God, I ask them if they've ever seen a miracle, and a lot of them say no. And those are the ones that don't have a stronger faith in God. And I guess my question is to you, have you ever seen a miracle?
For sure. I mean, starting university anywhere is not easy. Starting university in Palestine under the most difficult circumstances is a miracle. I mean, if you would have told me 2006 when we started, thinking of the when we started the first program of the university, we were a small community college with little resources, just one room, basically was there, and to see how this, with the blessing of the Lord, kept growing, so that by 2021 we became a full-fledged university with a beautiful campus, with a great team of over 150 people working there, students, state-of-the-art facilities. I mean, this is but a miracle. And I could not have done it alone. We could not have done it alone. But the Lord keep blessing us beyond our understanding. And so I always say Palestine is the land of miracles, and this is just one of them.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing with me. It truly is a miracle that you've done it. Do you have any advice to someone looking to do the same thing?
I believe my advice is, never to estimate what God has for us in terms of plan. Most of the time, we really cannot absorb what He has for us in mind. His vision for us is much bigger than our vision for ourselves. We just need to trust in that, and we just need to allow Him to lead us into the place where He wants us to be. Irrespective if we are living in difficult times or in good times, always to focus on the vision that He puts in our heart, always to have this leap of faith, not to tremble, but to trust His guidance, and miracle will happen.
That was so beautiful. Thank you so much.
You are most welcome. I'm glad that you have it. Sorry that it is a bit shorter this time.
No, that's perfectly fine. This has been a beautiful conversation. I'm sure our viewers will be very grateful. Hopefully we can bring you on for a part 2 sometime, and maybe I'll see you in the Holy Land soon.
Please come visit us. It would be a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Reverend. I really appreciate it. Do you have any closing thoughts, closing words you'd like to share with our audience?
No, just keep up the good work that you are doing. We are really glad for your ministry, and I know some of the friends here, and God blessing on you.
God blessing on you too, Father. Thank you so much. I know our ministry is very grateful. The Holy Orthodox Order of St. George thanks you for being here. And God be with you. Be safe in your travels. And God bless you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, that about wraps up our podcast for the day. This has been Maxwell Marcus with the Holy Orthodox Order of St. George the Great Martyr. We will have some links below, and tune in next time. God be with you.